I'm gonna be real with you. Talent can only get you so far, and skill can be learned. But mindset, something that needs to be developed, is the great divider between the ones who make it from the ones who quit. Your mindset is your most powerful asset. Let me tell you why. When I dropped out of high school, I didn't know what the future held. Most people saw it as a failure. Honestly, at the time, I did too. But looking back now, I realized that the real failure would have been if I had let that moment in time be what defines me for my entire life. Instead, over the years of working through how I view myself as well as my actions, I was able to shift that mindset. I decided that even though I didn't follow the traditional path, I was going to figure it out my way. And that's the key. Your mindset is the lens through which you see everything. It's not about what happens to you, it's how you choose to respond and how you choose to accept your actions. So, lesson one, your mindset shapes your reality. If you believe that something's impossible, you'll find every way to prove yourself right. But if you believe you can learn, if you believe you can adapt and you can grow, that's when all the doors start opening. A lot of people think mindset is just about thinking positive thoughts, but it's way more than that. It has to pierce a lot deeper. It's about setting the framework for how you see the world. It's about rewiring how you think when things don't go your way. When we first started Painkiller, I didn't know all the steps. I didn't know exactly how to make it work, but what I did know is we could figure it out. And it was that belief in itself that changed everything for us. It's a way of looking at the world and saying, I may not know how to get there, but I trust myself enough to learn as I go. And trust me, that mindset isn't something magical, and it's not an innate way of thinking. It's something that's built. It's a daily practice, and it took years of continuing to try and try again to make that my default way of thinking. Think about how mindset affects everything. If you're in the gym and your body's tired, it's your mindset that tells you to push through. It tells you to finish the number of reps that you said you would, or let's say running. If you said you were going to do a set number of miles, you do it because you said you would. Same goes for business. If things aren't going your way, it's your mindset that allows you to push and adapt and change directions. When you wake up in the morning, the very first thought you have can set the tone for your entire day. That's how powerful mindset is. Lesson two, the fixed versus the growth mindset. There's a simple concept that could change the way you approach everything in life. It's the difference between a fixed mindset and a growth mindset. A fixed mindset, this is just something that says, oh, this is who I am, I can't change that. It's that voice that says, I'm bad at this, or this isn't my thing, or I'll never be able to do that. And when you have a fixed mindset, you don't try the same way because you've already accepted that this is your limitation. But a growth mindset says, I can learn, I can improve, I can change. And that small shift opens up a world of possibilities. It's the same way that going back to being a high school dropout, I could have said to myself, well, I couldn't cut it. I've already failed. That's it for me. But instead, I chose to believe I could figure out my own path. I wasn't limited by one moment in my life, and that's the power of perspective. That is the power of a growth mindset. It lets you see failure as temporary, not permanent. The way you see the world doesn't just apply to school, to business. I mean, think about training. If you believe you'll never be able to run a certain distance or lift a certain weight, chances are you won't even try. But the moment you believe you can improve, step by step, that constant and consistent movement, even the act of trying, is what creates progress. Lesson three, the mindset of resilience. And yes, it is a mindset, not just a trait. It's built through how you choose to think and act in your toughest moments. And I'll be honest about that. When I lost my father, it was one of the hardest things I've ever gone through. I dove into work to try and delay the processing of the pain. There were days that I didn't want to keep going. days where everything felt like it was too much, and there would be small moments that really reminded me of the pain that I kept pushing down. But here's the thing, I had a choice. I could let the pain continue to try and keep me down, or I could use it to push me forward. And that's what mindset is about. It's about how you talk to yourself when life throws those unexpected punches. It's about choosing to keep moving forward even when every part of you wants to stop. It's learning to control what goes on in here, because you know it will affect what goes on out there. Resilience doesn't mean you don't feel pain or frustration. It means you learn to process it, understand it, and then keep going. Whether you're trying to build a business or get through a personal loss, it's about showing up day after day and just trusting that every step you will make it through. Think of it this way. Resilience is like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. Every time you push through a tough moment, wherever and whenever in your life that may be, you are training resilience. And eventually, what used to feel impossible becomes something that you can handle, becomes something that's manageable. Now, here's something a lot of people don't talk about or have a hard time accepting. Your mindset is heavily influenced by your environment. The people you surround yourself with, the spaces you spend your time in, they all shape how you see the world, how you think and act through situations, good or bad. If you're constantly around people who are negative, who complain, or who don't believe in growth, it's going to be much harder for you to maintain the perspective of growth or being able to shape your life experience positively. But if you're around people who challenge you, who believe in progress, or who push you to be better, that's when your mindset really starts to thrive. For me, this was a huge factor. When I started surrounding myself with people who looked at the world and saw possibilities, people who were building things, creating things, pushing their own limits, it changed everything for me. I stopped seeing obstacles as permanent. I started seeing them as what they really are, stepping stones. If you want to cultivate a new way of thinking, a new mindset, pay attention to your environment. Who are you listening to? What spaces are you spending time in? Because those factors will either strengthen your mindset or they're going to drag you down. All right, let's get into the steps you can take to build a growth mindset. These aren't complicated, but they do take commitment. Step 1, challenge your thoughts daily. Mindset work starts with recognizing the stories you tell yourself. Every time you catch yourself thinking, I can't, or I'm not good enough, stop and challenge it. Ask yourself, is this a fact? Is this true? Or is it just something that I'm saying to cop out? The more you challenge those limiting beliefs, the more they lose their power over you. Step 2, focus on incremental progress. Stop thinking you need to make giant leaps every day. That's actually rarely how reality works, and the reality of progress regardless of what social media says. Focus on what you can do in the next 24 hours. What can you do to move forward? Did you get 1% better today? That's what matters. Small, incremental progress compounds over time. A lot of people quit because they don't see results right away. They want to see that quantum leap. But the truth is, the most successful people are the ones who commit to daily improvement, even if it's just a small step. And they understand that it takes time, it takes patience. Step 3, surround yourself with the right people. I can't stress this enough. Your environment matters. Find people who push you to be better, not people who reinforce negative thinking. You want to be around people who are constantly pushing for growth themselves. They support your progress, who will challenge you when you're stuck in your old habits. If you are constantly around the same thing, including negativity, it's going to be a lot harder to cultivate positive change. But when you surround yourself with others who are also seeking growth, you'll find it much easier to stay focused as well as motivated. Step 4, build resilience through consistency. Resilience isn't about doing something once and succeeding. It's about showing up every single day, even when you don't feel like it. Whether you're training for a marathon, whether you're building a business, or even just working on personal growth, consistency is what separates those who succeed from those who fall off. Train your mind to push through. Train your mind to push through discomfort by staying consistent with small daily efforts. Your perspective may shift in an instant one day, or it may take months of showing up for yourself daily. Everyone's shifting point is different, but if you keep showing up, it will happen. And that's how you build resilience, by showing up no matter what. Now let's briefly touch on self-image, because I think this is important, because your mindset is also tied to how you see yourself. If you're constantly telling yourself that you're not good enough, that you don't have what it takes, or that you'll never succeed, you're locking yourself into that version of who you think you are. But you can change your self-image. You can become the person you want to be, but it starts with believing that change is possible. I could have easily accepted labels that society puts on me, whether that be like dropout or rebel. I could have seen myself as a failure, and that could have become my identity. But instead, I decided to rewrite that narrative. I saw myself as someone who was capable of figuring things out, someone who could learn and grow outside that system. And you can do the same. Start by shifting the way you talk to yourself. Instead of reinforcing negative beliefs, start speaking to yourself like someone who's capable. Your mind will follow the story you tell it. So make sure that story is one of potential and progress. In closing, your mindset is the foundation for everything. It's how you approach life, how you handle challenges, and ultimately how far you believe you'll go. Talent might give you the head start, but mindset is what keeps you moving when things get tough. And here's the best part. It's something you can build. Every day, every choice you make is an opportunity to strengthen the positive ways you see the world, as well as how you move through it. Whether it's challenging your own thoughts, surrounding yourself with the right people, or showing up consistently, you have the power to shape your reality. If this hits home for you, hit that subscribe button, follow me for more content on mindset, growth, and pushing your limits. Let's keep building together. Growth over fear, always.